So the jury has finally reached a verdict on this Fredo case, and it's not looking good for Fredo. 7 out of 8 of his co-defendants on this case have been found guilty of conspiracy to possess a firearm with intent. So what does this mean for Fredo? Does it make more sense for him to come back to the UK and do his sentence, or stay on the run? And could Russ Millions also be charged for his alleged involvement in this conspiracy to use firearms to harm Digga D? And how long are these guys looking at? Well, keep watching the video to find out, guys, and give the video a like. Let's get that out of the way. So the man, the myth, the legend, Chris Summers has just made a tweet. He is the main source of information for these cases involving UK rappers. He tweeted, 7 members of the Harrow Road Boys gang have been convicted in relation to an attempt to buy a gun as part of a plan to shoot rival drill rapper Digga D. Named on the indictment as a co-conspirator was Marvin Bailey, aka rapper Fredo, who is believed to be abroad. Javon Tyson, which is the real name of rapper Lil Dots, and the rest of his co-defendants, apart from one, have been found guilty of this offense. Conspiracy to possess a firearm with intent between July and November 2022. 3 years ago, man. Shows you, man, the obo is real. Like, this stuff will catch up to you. The police are not, or the Crown's prosecution service and the police are not here to play games. Now, Abraham Safo Frimpong was the 1 out of the 8 who was found not guilty, but he was found guilty of the second offense, the lesser offense, which is minor in comparison to you know what. And it's contravening the Prisons Act relating to smuggling phones into jail. All 8 of them were found guilty of that. I'm sure Abraham is very relieved right now. Chris Summers says all 8 of them will be sentenced later this week. And as you can see on Saturday, guys, we are going to give you a full breakdown of this case. Now, this website will allow us to determine how long these guys are looking at. And this is very important because this will determine whether Fredo's going to come back to the UK or not, because them getting found guilty is not the only factor. It also depends on how long they actually sentence his co-defendants. Because as you guys know, Fredo has been abroad. He's not been able to return to the UK while this case has been going on. And people are probably thinking there's no way he's going to come back to the UK. But if his co-defendants end up getting 3 years, 4 years, something like that, it's still a long time because you're going to freaking prison. But it would certainly be better to do 3 years in prison instead of being on the run for your entire life. Because my sources tell me they've been squeezing Fredo financially. There's rumors about him having to sell his shares in Kick Game. For those of you guys that don't know, Kick Game is a big shoe shop and they have a very, very successful YouTube channel where they've interviewed a lot of big people. And it was reportedly worth millions last time I checked. If we go onto Company's House, we can take a look at people with significant control. Let's take a look at officers. I don't see Fredo's name anywhere. We're trying to find where I'm not sure if it lists who holds shares in the company. I can't even remember when Fredo invested in there. Okay, I don't think I'm going to be able to find anything. Here we found the 3 companies that Fredo is currently an active director of. And 2 weeks ago, like 2-3 weeks ago, they changed their registered office address. And on the same day for his other company, they changed the registered address. So while he's been on the run, they've still been doing their filings. Looks like nobody else has significant control in this company other than Fredo himself. Yeah, we didn't find much there, but on this website, we'll be able to make an estimate as to how long his Codies might be looking at in prison. Well, not might be, they've been found guilty, so what they're going to be looking at in prison. So step 1 is culpability. So high culpability, intention falling just short of intent to endanger life, the conduct intended to maximize fear or distress, sophisticated nature, leading role, firearm or imitation was not discharged, and it was a prolonged incident. So you could even maybe mark this as A, to be honest. These are the sentencing guidelines that the judge is going to have to follow. Or we got B, it was loaded or held, yep, not discharged, yep, significant role, some degree of planning, and C, no intention. I mean, no intention, they were found guilty of intent. Lesser role, where offending is part of a group activity, little or no planning. Fredo would come into C, I reckon. But I think, because remember, all 7 of them are going to be sentenced individually. So some of them will definitely fall into category A, but if we're talking about Fredo himself, we'll probably have to place him into B. Because if they have enough evidence, because he hasn't been on trial yet, he hasn't had a fair chance, you know, everybody's entitled to a defense. They might not even have enough evidence to prove that he falls into the B category. And then even here, I'd put it into category 2 as well, or you could put it into category 3. It says the court should consider the factors set out below to determine the level of harm that has been caused or was risked. This assessment is assessed by reference to the risk of harm or disorder occurring and or actual harm caused. When considering the risk of harm, relevant considerations may include the location of the offense, the number and vulnerability of people exposed, especially if there were children involved. Damn, it's a sticky one. Let's look at B3 and let's look at C3 and B2 and C2. So looking at this, Fredo would be looking at about 4 years. He'd be looking at around 2 to 6 years. we could say. He'd be looking at 2 to 6 years, because I wouldn't place him any higher than these 4. I wouldn't place him up there. You could place him up here. You could potentially place him up here. So that looks like maximum 6 years he'd be looking at. Hey guys, like the video. Like it. Thank you. Just let's like the video. Let's like it. Press like. Thank you. We'll continue in a second. Just like the video. There you go. All right, cheers. And if he was to face trial, he'd have a good lawyer. So, you know, probably 2-4 years maybe. Now, any number of years in prison is scary regardless, but you've been there before. And living a life on the run is not fun. Always having to look over your shoulder, and they might even end up extraditing you because they've attempted to squeeze you. They've frozen your bank accounts. Apparently, you've had to share your cells in Kick Game. You're not allowed to release music because you're all these things. Yep, they're trying to pressure you to come back. The only way we'll know is once we see what his co-defendants are sentenced to. And who knows, guys? Fredo might come back, stand trial, and he might be found not guilty. Can only imagine what Fredo's going through right now, but your actions have consequences, man, and it shows you just can't run away from your problems, bro. Doesn't matter how famous, how much money you got, bro, you can lose it all. We don't know if Fredo's lost it all. We don't know, but it's a up situation that he's in right now, and it's only himself to blame. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Lil Dots as well, we'll see what Lil Dots is sentenced to as well, because he's actually cold at the rapping thing as well. And what does this mean for Russ Millions? If you guys saw my first video on this case where I broke down everything that we knew at that time, I went over the text messages that were read out in court between Russ and Lil Dots, where it looks like allegedly Russ was giving them the drop on Digga D at Tape Nightclub, the studio in Tape Nightclub to be more specific, where Digga D was recording at the time. Apparently, Russ messaged Lil Dots, and these are the messages between Russ and Lil Dots. Yo, Digga's gonna be at the studio. Lil Dots, who's lost his brother as well, tragically. And I'm sure Digga D's dissed his brother as well, you know? What, today? Yeah, bro. At what time? Trying to get the time store. Let me know ASAP. There now. My man's right there now. Say nothing, bro. Police interpreters say nothing, bro. Don't say a word. Yo, I can't lie. I feel like driving there now. Nah, man's patterning. Police interpreters, nah, I'm sorting something out. Don't say a word though. Prosecutor said subsequent police inquiries confirmed Digga D was using the tape recording studio in Hanover Square between 5:30 p.m. on the 6th of November and 1 a.m. I don't know why the this guy would even be at Tape at these times, bro. It's rumored that he's been out on bail for this whole time, and as we get more details about the case, it seems more and more likely that he's been out on bail for this. And it's also not looking too good for us, because his name was mentioned in the trial in open court, and under the Serious Crime Act 2007, a person commits an offense if he doesn't act capable of encouraging or assisting the commission of an offense, and he believes that the offense will be committed and that his act will encourage or assist its commission. Now, if things are the way that they look, it's really not looking good for Russ. We don't know if the CPS, the Crown's Prosecution Service, will decide to charge Russ. I believe they will if they have enough evidence on him, and especially because they have the text messages between him and Lil Dots, who has just been found guilty. We will have to see what happens, because Russ has been dropping music recently.
And the shotguns came straight
from this song Ice-T a couple days ago, and he also dropped a song with an international artist that's going crazy. That's standard procedure for us. And if he were to be charged under this act, he could be looking at a maximum of 10 years in prison. Chung Lee, hey, what do you think about this? Chung Lee says Fredo should just come back and face the music. Living a life on the run is not worth it. I mean, if I hit £120 million crypto lick, then life on the run might be okay. But in this case, no, you know, I'd just come back, face the music, get on with your life. You know, you'll still have a music career. I mean, you'll still be able to make a decent amount of money off of music if you're gone for 3 years, maybe less than that. 4 years, maybe less than 4 years. There'll be some hype buzz. If it's done right, you can get back to where you were before, man. You know, you need to, I'm sure Fredo's thought about these things 100,000 times. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and Saturday, look out on Saturday, because we're going to get that video out ASAP. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace and love to every single one of you. Actually, we might do a double upload today, or we might stream later.